Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of West Ham Fan TV's Friday Night Pint. My name's Nicky Hawkins, and I'm with two of my usual co-hosts tonight. No Ryan tonight. I think he's gone out for his anniversary, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
I might be it up. So we're in the house with Scotty. Scotty, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Me, like Ryan, celebrated my anniversary this week, but me and the missus went out last week to get away from the kids for half hour.
Get away from the kids for half hour. Is that honestly? Is that what it's come down to?
Ah, mate, yeah. Especially I've had both of them having chicken pox. So 2 weeks ago the baby had it, and then this week the boys had it. So I've been a bit of it's been stressful. We've got no childcare because everyone's over the age of 50 and susceptible to shingles. So we're trying to juggle work and childcare all at the same time.
Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? You still watching the World Cup?
Yes, mate. The boy's watching it now. He's up in bed watching the game. He's loving it. He is. It's his first proper World Cup. You know, the one since he's got into football, the one he really knows. So me and him have been watching all the games. I've been trying to teach him who to cheer on and who not to cheer on, but he wouldn't have it. So, but yeah, he's enjoying it.
Yeah, and Lawless all the way back from up north in time.
yeah, back from sunny Doncaster, back for the show. So yeah, what a long day, but looking forward to getting into some of these topics. Some juicy ones, I know.
Tonight. West Ham did start again, so it's obviously a good time to talk about it. But listen, there is a link in the description down below. And before we we just start this, I want a little disclaimer and everything else. Right now, it was obviously on. Ben Johnson has come out on a podcast, a very popular podcast, and he was asked about he's working. Sorry, he's working, Ryan.
No, that's Dan telling.
No, he said, well, I was in Doncaster, and rather than interrupt you, I thought I'd answer Matt's question.
Sorry. Yeah, so he was asked on a popular podcast who is hosted by Jack Mate, who is obviously the West Ham presenter on the YouTube channel. Whether he watches, first of all, he watches fan channels, and does he think they help? Now, Dan, just refresh my memory. What did he say?
He basically said along the lines of, he thinks that there should, he agrees with the idea and the concept of fan channels, and he thinks fans deserve their opinion, but doesn't agree with a way a lot of fans go about it, and thinks that a lot of the comments from fans are unfair and harsh. And fans, they might not have the real idea of what's really going on with players, and sometimes there is also a lack of knowledge, where sort of the point where he hears opinions and he's like, really, like, that's what you think? I thought that player was good, or that was the gist of it. He tried to be quite political. He didn't really sort of hammer it in, but it was sort of like basically saying, yeah, some fans go too far basically with their opinions, and
Scott, you want to chip in?
Yeah, I know you definitely was. You was loving it, Scott.
No, I said I'm
a supporter of it.
Yeah, I didn't know. I weren't. Didn't know anything about it until you said it over, Dan. But to be fair, he makes a fair point. You look back at what has happened on some fan channels, the way they've gone in on players and the insults that the players have got and things like that. And look, everyone's entitled to opinions, right? I said, you saw last week, I've got my opinion of Kelvin Phillips. People think I'm wrong. It's all about opinions, but it's the way you go about it. When I said my comments last week about him, wasn't digging at him as a person, wasn't digging at him in any way. I just believe in my thoughts of as him as a player that he isn't good enough. That's my opinion. But I then don't go in depth and keep going on and on and on and on, and then start slagging him off and calling him names and calling this, which you have seen in the past from some fan channels.
Yeah, and even obviously, look, we can't separate ourselves. It's been on our channel as well. Yeah. We interview fans. We don't we don't tell fans what to say, and we don't censor fans. You know,
Yeah.
for right or wrong, if whatever you think, but it's uncensored, and you know, like Nicky's always said, we give fans a voice. And okay, you know, sometimes there's a line there, and sometimes people may get personal, but us, as we, you know, as our voice and our opinions are probably, you know, what the official representation of the channel, we tend to try not to go personal, and it's criticizing performances and not people. Sometimes it can be hard it's an emotional sport. It is. And I can't hand on heart say, if you ever went back on a video to say I've never taken a step across that line. I always try not to, and I always try and support the players. But look, saying if a player should be dropped or they played crap, I think is fair game. But yeah, calling them, you know, fucking names and all that and the other stuff, donkeys or whatever.
Yeah,
I think is, you know.
The thing is, Dan, right? You look at me and you last season, and again we've done it this season. We picked out Jared Bowen on his performances last season. The thing that we do, and I hope that it comes across that we do, is that when we criticise someone, we're criticising them after the game, the way they've been playing, or the way that they've started the season or gone throughout the season. So Bowen last season, we were on his back in the sense of we didn't think he was performing well. We pinpointed what we thought he needed to do better, and then he went on and done that. But the difference is we said that, and then as soon as he started performing, we complimented on his performances. We didn't sit there and then continue to dig him out, even though he was playing well. And again, this season, you know, me and you, again, in conversations, Dan, especially because we sit together in the games, you know, we pick up on people who are playing poor performances. Ben Johnson himself was a player who I thought against Blackburn in the Cup made a schoolboy error, which led to them scoring a goal. That's not a dig at him and his personality or him as a person. That's a critic of how he defended on the night and the mistake he made. But I'm not calling him a see you next Tuesday. I'm not calling him this, that, or the other. I want him dead or anything like that. I'm just saying that's saying that he got wrong in the game and that he needs to make sure it doesn't happen again. Now, in my opinion, and a lot of nothing wrong with me saying that, it's about opinions. You know, that's what it's all. He may completely disagree to what I think. He's a professional footballer, but from my opinion, with my limited knowledge of football that I've got, basic defending, schoolboy error needs to improve.
Yeah. And in my opinion, we're just as much entitled to opinion, if not more, than the paid pundits on Sky, BBC, BT Sport.
Because we're a paying, supporter.
When it came out, that the podcast came out. Now, it's no like. You know, we don't have any dealings with the club. Let's be fair, we don't have any dealings with the football club. We never have, and we never will, because of, you know, things we've said in the past, opinions that we allowed to be on our channel. And as Dan said, you know, is it right? You know, I've looked at it in the past. You know, at the moment, at this very moment, we do a podcast, and we have a guy on the channel, and he's doing a lot more with us lately, Dom. Yeah, and Dom will divide opinions. Is he too harsh on players? Has he been personal to players? Have I? Absolutely. Have I gone too far in the past? Absolutely. Has Dom gone too far in the past? Absolutely. Is Dom's opinion right because he says it? Well, absolutely, because that's his opinion. You know, every opinion is right. Is it right to get personal? No. Does it get personal at times? Yes. That is the thing. And the reason why I say that is because Johnson said in that interview that or Jack, you know, and you know, full disclosure here, you know, I've spent time with Jack. I've been out for a drink with Jack. I took Jack to an away game. You know, we've spoke. I wouldn't say we was best mates, but you know, I text him up every now and then, and I text him up after that podcast and said, you know, I think it's a decent discussion to have. And I would have that discussion because in the podcast, Jack has turned around and said, you know, this is from Jack's mouth, and he put it to, you know, they mentioned Hammer's Chat by name. You know, give a shout out to Hammer's Chat. That's his favourite channel, which is cool. You know, it's, you know, everyone's got their own favourite channels. And then he said, you know, I prefer the Hammer's Chat way of doing things rather than. He didn't say West Ham Fan TV. He said Arsenal Fan TV.
The AFTV model,
yeah. The AFTV model, which it doesn't take a genius to work out that we are a similar model. Is in the fact that, you know, I'm not saying we've got DT and people like that, but you know, we've got
we do fan cams.
We do fan cams, yeah, and we give fans opinions. You know, our morals and ethics around making content is a very similar way to what Robbie's is when he started Arsenal Fan TV. So so we've got a similar model. So basically, he prefers Hammer's Chat to our model, which is fine. Absolutely fine. And the reason why he said he prefers Hammer's Chat is because they don't go in too hard on the players, which is fine. You know, Gio and Gonzo are friends of ours, you know, and I enjoy watching their content, and I'm sure many of you do. But what I would say about that model is, you know, I can't talk for AFTV, but I'm talking for West Ham Fan TV here, is that does it cross a line at times? I'm sure it has. I've definitely crossed a line at times. And I know there's a lot of people, you know, especially in our early days, but I wouldn't say for players, but especially in the early days, when it came to our board, I crossed a few lines. Absolutely did, you know. But I was angry, I was passionate, I was learning, you know. But
which comes more to the point where you're a fan rather than somebody who's media trained
this is the point I'm trying to make, right? Is that I would listen, because Johnson said, you know, it's best not to listen to it. It's best not to listen to it. But they'll go on Sky and listen to Roy Keane, and they'll listen to Jamie Redknapp, and I can understand where they come from, because obviously they're ex-players. They understand the game a little bit more, perhaps. You know, they understand what it's like to play the game, but they make opinions. TalkSport, you know, players and managers go on to TalkSport. So do owners. They are no different than what we do. I'm sure Ben Johnson has been. I'm pretty sure I've heard Ben Johnson go on TalkSport before. They are absolutely no different than what we do. The only difference between what we do and what they do is I turn up there every single week. I pay my money to see them every single week. And unlike a lot of other fan bases, when you look at the Arsenals who maybe have got a few fans because of their name, West Ham haven't got a lot of fans because of their name. West Ham have got a lot of fans because people like football. Mm-hmm. Yeah. You cannot, right? You know, when you're saying about Maguire and all that, I'm not talking about Maguire, but obviously he's going to be talking about some people in his own team, and they think, oh, they're getting battered because of this, because of that. You cannot pull the wool over West Ham fans' eyes. And you never have been able to pull the wool over West Ham fans' eyes. If you look at a player out on the pitch, right? And I know millions of West Ham fans. Well, I don't know millions of them personally, but I know millions of West Ham fans that will look at a player on the pitch, and they'll all, 95% of them will probably agree. You can tell whether they're trying or not trying. Mm-hmm. Yeah, whether they're trying because of, you know, A, B, C, D, you know, reasons these are. It doesn't really matter to me. It doesn't matter, you know. Am I going to be sympathetic if, you know, there's problems at home? Yes, I will. You know, am I going to be sympathetic because he's fell out with a manager? Not really. You know, there are different reasons to be angry, but what I can turn around and say, different reasons to be playing badly. Sorry, what I can turn around and say systematically is he's not trying. Mm-hmm. Look at Sebastian Haller. What was his problem?
Well, first season when Moyes come in, he didn't play the Moyes way.
Didn't play the Moyes way. Moyes didn't like him. He got fed up with playing the Moyes way. He stopped trying. You know, I don't care the reasons. He is not trying for my football club. I pay money to go and watch him. He's on a lot of money a week. Yeah, he can do worse. Yeah, worse than sit there and not listen to what I say. In fact, you look at what the pundits were saying at the time. The pundits were saying that, you know, ex-players were saying exactly the same things as us. Exactly the same.
Yeah.
Not trying, not interested, blah, 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 blah. But they'll listen to them, but they won't listen to us. Can it be toxic? Yeah, it can be toxic. But it can be toxic when the press get on your back. You know, half them people that make opinions about these football players, half these people that sit there talking about these football players, see them once in a blue moon. I see them week in, week out. Every single minute of every single game that they play, I'll go and watch it. And I pay my own money to watch it. I would not ignore what Dom says. You know, pick out the bones of it, you know, take out the fact that he's emotional, but don't ignore him. Because he knows what he knows what he wants, and he knows what he wants to see. You know, make a constructive argument with him if you want, but don't ignore him, because you know, like the Moyes thing at the moment, you know, it swayed the way of the fans. You know, I'd say a majority now are like, you know, enough is enough. Yeah. But pundits are turning around and going, what are you talking about? Well, how much better are you going to do without him? They don't know. They don't know what they're talking about.
That's it. They're outsiders. Like you said, they don't watch us every week in, week out. They don't support us. They don't have a stake in what happens with West Ham. You know, if we get relegated, if we succeed, it doesn't matter to them either way. You know, and I think with players or managers or whatever, you know, don't watch fan channels if you know you feel like it's going to affect you. If you feel like you can't handle it. And it's not a knock, but it's just certain people. If you've got thicker skin and you want to just get an insight into what the fan perspective is, then watch it. Otherwise, you know, just tunnel vision, play your game, get on.
But let me just make this point as well, right? Let me just make this point as well, yeah? The people I have been personal with, yeah? And I'm going to name two of them now, yeah? Javier Hernandez, who I was very personal with, yeah? And who I was very, very personal with in insults. Is Victor Moses. And I'm going to tell you a reason why I was very personal with them two players. Victor Moses first. Victor Moses, I saw Victor Moses come out of Newcastle. We was at Newcastle away, yeah. We had the decent season. We'd lost 2-1, yeah. I happened to be walking past the coach as the players were coming to the coach, yeah. When it got to the point where people were coming off the coach, yeah. The players were coming onto the coach. There were people lining up around the coach for autographs, yeah. And this is not alleged. This is not an accusation. I saw this with my own eyes, and I've got witnesses, right? So no one can ever tell me I'm lying. I saw this with my own eyes, yeah. He came to the coach. It's freezing cold, by the way. I think it is in January or February or something like that, right? We were standing there talking to a couple of people that recognised us. There was a couple of kids holding out autograph books, yeah? He came over, yeah, with a pen or whatever, yeah, and gestured to go and sign the autograph book for these kids, yeah? Then he turned around, yeah, and like made a gesture going, fucking, you thought I was going to come over, didn't you? Right? And I thought he was joking at that time. He then proceeded to get back on the coach, leaving these kids. So basically, he's feigned to come over to sign autographs and turned around and going, only joking, and went on to get on the coach. Now, for me, you don't do that.
No, of course not.
For me, and even when he was playing for us, that was midway through the season, and he was having a good season at the time. Mm-hmm. I thought, fuck that. You know, I that's disgusting. And I called him a disgusting person, and I got personal with him. For me, that's fucking justified. That's justified. The geezer's a fucking scumbag. That's a scumbag thing to do.
Yeah, that's that in a way is different because you've seen him do something that to little kids. Exactly. To kids, these are they're idols, footballers. You know, as much as you try and move them away from, you know, having your hero as a footballer and that type of thing, they are idols, and you shouldn't be doing that. And that's that. Like I said, that's a scumbag thing to do.
It's a scumbag thing to do. And another scumbag thing to do was when I was lining up in the rain with a load of children, right? And I'll tell you for why. You're going to think I'm some sort of sad case now for lining up outside for autographs. Never done that in my life. Never asked for an autograph in my life. Yeah? Unless someone was right in front of me and, it was accessible. But was it you, Dan, come with me?
Yeah. For the
Me and
charity
Dan,
thing, yeah.
Me and Dan went to the training ground because, I don't have, because of what we do, I don't have enough contacts at West Ham to ask for autographs or anything like that, So a friend of mine's daughter died. I printed out a load of photos, and I didn't try and use any sort of like backward door. I went to the training ground and I went there to get some things signed.
Yeah, in the rain,
pissing down the rain, and again, we were standing there with a load of kids who was doing the same thing. Yeah, and what did Javi Hernandez do, Dan?
Well, was he the one that drove down the other exit, or he drove? Yeah. He used the other
to avoid these kids. Why are people asking me if my TV's all right in the background?
Because you've got the football one.
Does it matter? You can't see that.
I can.
Should I turn it off?
I don't know. I'll keep an eye on the game while talking to you.
He's like, yeah, you take the risk. I'm enjoying this game. It's a good match.
Yeah, and he saw a load of kids at the waiting for autographs, and he drove around the other side so he could get away. Scumbag move. In my opinion.
No, I'm not going to say that's a scumbag move. Gesturing to come and sign an autograph, then turning away as if to say, "No, you thought I was coming over." That's a scumbag move. As you said before, you don't know what's going on in his life at that situation at that time. He may have not been well. He may have needed to rush home for something. You just don't know. It's not right. I agree with that. He should have come and signed, but you don't know whether there was a mitigating circumstances.
I have heard it happened a lot.
They are told not to stop by the club. Some still do anyway. Adrian was good as gold that day. He stopped, waited for everyone, signed everything, took his time.
The club are wrong to tell the players not to stop. Look, I understand there's security reasons by it and issues like that. Look, you don't know who's standing outside them gates, especially if the club are not performing well. I sort of get it. But for the club to turn around and say...
Antonio had that row, didn't he, with the fans earlier about...
and you could sort of understand stuff like that because you do get people who go there and do that, and they shouldn't do that. At the end of the day, it's... It's wrong because there's kids there who, again, idolise these football players. Who want to get a sign, just see him, see it for a lot of kids. For someone like Declan Rice to drive out in his car, stick his head out the window, sign a bit of paper, say hello, have a selfie with them. That makes their year.
Yeah, some kids can't afford to go to the football, and parents can't afford to take their kids to the football, and that's what the closest they'll get to see these players.
Yeah, it shouldn't be the club discourage the players from doing it. The club should make sure there's enough security there to deal with anything that could arise. But also in play, fans shouldn't go there to have a row with the players.
No, exactly.
And that's the thing. It works. You can see the argument from the club, but it's more for me where modern day footballers are so detached from the fans, and no matter who you speak to with regarding their clubs, most Premier League football players are so far detached. I had a guy coming in my work, right? He was a window cleaner. He supports Port Vale. And he's a massive Port Vale fan, season ticket holder and all that. And he got a job at the club cleaning the windows. And as he's gone to walk in, the captain of Port Vale's walking out. So he's held the door open for him to walk out. The captain of Port Vale turned around and said, "No, mate, I hold the door open for you. You're working here."
I thought, that's not the way I was expecting it to go. I thought you was going to say...
He didn't say nothing.
No.
Yeah.
No, but that's what he said.
Port Vale.
Yeah, but that's what he said. He said, he said, "No, I'll hold the door open for you." He knows that he's in a privileged situation where he's playing a game that he loves. He's getting paid well to do it. Not as well as Premier League footballers, but there's still that attachment with the fans. But you get a lot of modern day footballers now. They're detached from the fans massively, and again, for me, the kids waiting outside the football ground to have pictures, whatever. Look, I know it can be frustrating. It's a lot of people there and sometimes and all that, but it's that little bit of attachment. It's that little bit of the community spirit of the club. You look when you used to go, Nick.
There is no community spirit left. Yeah, no. And when you think about, I want to say not to Ben Johnson personally because I've got no, I know they he tries. Am I going to say he's a wanker for having a bad game? Absolutely not. I can tell when they're trying, but I can tell when they're not. And I don't think it's wrong to turn around to someone and say he's not trying. When you know that they're not, you can see it. I'm sorry, but you can see it. Do you know what's going on in their life? No. But that's not our problem. We pay our money to go and watch football.
Mm-hmm.
It's down to the if something's going on in his life where he can't play fucking football, it's down to the manager and him to have a discussion and him not to fucking come to work. Like I'll pay my money to watch football. We give our opinion on the football.
Mm.
Yeah. And if you can't take that, fucking don't play
get
football.
some comments.
Take some comments. I've just got. I'm going to pop out for 2 seconds.
So have another slice. Right. Okay. Yeah, we got a lot of comments. Just before we get to a lot of these comments. So, Geordie Toon for life, top man. Fans are entitled to an opinion on the game they are watching, but only on their performance on the day. They love the praise, so pull up your pants and stop crying. Absolutely no abuse, though. Yeah, exactly. There's a line, mate. There's a line, for sure. People can't separate constructive criticism with abuse. Yeah, I think that's it. And because there's so much abuse, it's hard, isn't it? I guess I don't know, but listen, everyone deserves an opinion. Glenn Marshall says, but it's the same. You don't watch Phillips every week, like fans say about Declan. We watch him every week.
Fair point.
Call back to Scott's last week. Controversial opinions.
That's a fair point. Leeds fans absolutely love Phillips. He's a Leeds boy. They raved about him. But in my opinion, he's not as good as Declan Rice. Declan Rice made him look good in Euros.
No, that's it. But we're not saying that no one can give opinions on players they don't support. What we're saying is when it comes to pundits, what we're saying is that players will take stock or not take issue with pundits criticizing them who don't watch them week in, week out. But when fans who do watch them week out, that's what they take issue with. We're not saying that pundits shouldn't be able to have an opinion on players that don't watch week in, week out. We just say that, there's a little bit, we watch the players week in, week out. We know the team and how they set up. Okay, we haven't got the expertise the pundits have, but especially teams like West Ham, they might watch fucking the Man Uniteds and Liverpools, all of that every week. They're not watching West Ham unless we're playing those teams, So, I think that's what it comes down to. I know what Mr. H will say. Opinions. Can't deny anyone their opinion. Mr. H. Mr. Hawkins.
Mickey, he's talking about.
Yeah. I'm thinking. Johnson gets away with it because he's from the academy. He's not that good. I think I like Johnson. Yes, I think he's come back. He's not been great coming back.
Yeah, I like Johnson. I like him in that third centre half role.
Yeah, I think he struggled coming back, but I think the whole team have been poor, so it's hard to single out players.
You could probably count on one hand the players that have had decent seasons.
Yeah, exactly. So I think you can't write anyone off really. So Matt Pass says, I like. It's weird. His name, people call him Jack Mate, but it's Jack May. That's how he spells his name. Jack May. I would never watch a podcast if James Corden did it. I don't think you'd be alone there, mate. I don't think that would. Honestly, the guy, we've got to be the least popular West Ham fan, James Corden. P. Gaz says, I read that Moyes was impressed versus Cambridge. His number one Jan target, Greg Taylor. Oh, I didn't know about that. He's impressed with Greg Taylor for Cambridge against West Ham. So, be cheap, probably, wouldn't it? Relatively speaking. Marley Bronson, I think the problem is like what Scott said. You can voice your opinion on a player, but agendas get started, and that isn't healthy for players. Yeah, I think that is. I mean, you see it on Twitter a lot. Agendas.
To be fair, though, Dan, genders can come from anywhere. It doesn't necessarily come from your own fans. Talking about, there's an agenda that Declan Rice isn't a good player. No, there's an agenda saying that Declan Rice isn't as good as we make him out to be. Yeah, that's an agenda. That is a blatant agenda. You see every fan from every club, well, mostly big clubs, really. And it's Man United and the Chelsea fans that want him. They secretly want him, but then they also think, that we're bigging him up and he's not as good a player.
But I think that's different having them on your own player, though, Nick. When you're having agendas on your own, and I think that we see that a lot.
But Dan, that's happened forever. Like, what about the times when they didn't make millions of pounds or thousands of pounds a week or millions of pounds a year when they had to live amongst the fans? They used to get it to their face.
Well, yeah, I think though I think what one of the things he says is you used to have an escape from it. So you used to have 20, 30, 40,000 people screaming at you on the sidelines, but when you left, you got away from it. Now you don't.
That's a social media issue, not really a fan issue. But yeah, I think you see a lot on Twitter. Someone would decide they don't like flipping Dawson or something, or Creswell, right? And I've had my problems with Creswell, but it's just like, regardless, doesn't matter what they do, you're always going to find a way to tear down that player, whatever. You're never going to say anything good about him because you've got an agenda against them and you're going to push that agenda. So you will put spin. Like, if they haven't had a bad game, you'll point out the one bad thing that they did to feed your agenda. And we see that a lot, especially on Twitter. For those who ain't on Twitter, it's crazy. And you just got to be honest.
On the other side of fan channels, right? And this is something that's never, ever discussed. Yeah? Never, ever discussed. I am very, do you know what? This fucking cat, right? It scared the shit out of me. I thought it just come in from outside as I've come in from outside, and I thought it's brought a mouse in. It's behind the curtain, fucking like jumping around. I'm thinking, oh my God, I heard a little squeak. But she's got a fucking bottle lid. Wait, she's still doing something behind there.
Go on, Dan, read this one out.
Yeah, I might as well, wouldn't it? I'm going
to have to keep an eye on this quickly. I don't know what the fuck she's got.
Free hammers. One of the free hammers, maybe guessing Luke. On a game-by-game basis, etc., it's fair. If someone's performing well, we praise. If a player is not playing well, they are open to criticism. Yeah, exactly. What are you supposed to say? If they played well, if they played shit, So...
No, but sorry. Let me just.
Yeah, go on. You was going to say.
I'll sort the cat out and see what the fuck she's doing.
For fuck's sake.
They never ever. I am fiercely defend some of our players. I really do. The ones that I know are good and that put their effort in every week. I will go to. I've had big arguments on Twitter about Declan Rice. I've had big arguments on fan cams about on DR Sports. I've had arguments about Declan Rice and how good he is, and I hear fans, week in, week out, and I go on DR Sports. I'm a presenter on DR Sports, and I hear him say it's not as good as that. I had Doyle's a Liverpool fan, and we're good friends, and he was saying he's not all that, and I just turned around and said to him, with all due respect, Doyle, you're talking nonsense, absolute nonsense. And there was a time when there was a guy on there called Belgium who was trying to tell me Thomas Partey was a better player, and I just shut him down and said, "Listen, let's see what Thomas Partey has won by the time he's finished his career and what Declan Rice has won." Mm. And yeah, it's just absolutely, I'll defend him to the hill, but that never gets talked about. That never gets spoken about. But there we go. Let me go and see what this fucking cat's doing.
All right, go on, Dan, carry on.
Rob Jennings, fair point indeed. I'm sat with people in the ground who haven't got a Scooby about the game. My view is that if you played the game to a reasonable standard, your opinion holds more value. But again, I think a lot of people will have different opinions on what is to a decent standard. Is Sunday League a decent standard? I think a lot of Sunday League players will probably say it is. Other people will say it's not. I think it's not. I don't think you have to have played the game to a decent standard to have a Scooby. It's trying to watch and understand what it is you're seeing. And there are people, we all get them round the ground. I mean, Scott, he sits with me, you know, and we hear a lot of shit. You know, it's like, and that's just some fans, and some fans are blinkered, tunnel vision. They're not trying to take in the full game.
And that's it. And look, I'm not sitting here saying I know more than other people because, as I said, I've got no worries, Dan. Happy birthday, mate. Sorry, it's Dan Powers' birthday. He's in the chat, so
happy birthday, mate.
Yeah, just saying thanks for wishing happy birthday. Yeah, it's not. I'm not sitting here saying I know more than anyone else because I don't. I said I've got limited knowledge of football. You know, some people sit here and say I don't know nothing about football, but like you, Dan, you when I see what the point Rob's making. When you've played a game, you see things slightly different to what you do if you've never played the game. If you get what I mean, you know, and I think that's what Rob's saying. It is what is a decent standard. You know, you look at you saying semi-pro, you saying higher league Sunday football. You know, you can play professional football and still not have a clue what you're talking about. You know, Jamie O'Hara is someone who played the game at the highest level in the Premier League, and some of the comments he comes out with are absolutely ridiculous. So, you know, you've got, you know, you can look at that, someone who's played the game at that level, and somebody, look, I say things that people think are ridiculous. You say things, Nicky says things, but you sort of understand a little bit how the game's played, so you can see things a bit differently. That's how I look at it. When you've got that more of an understanding of football.
Yeah, no, yeah, I think I agree. I think, I don't think it's mutually exclusive. You know, whether, and like you said, there are plenty of pundits that talk a load of shit. You know, that doesn't mean you know, they're more, what they say holds more weight, because we've seen it. We've heard, you know, so much shit spoken about our club from people who don't really have a clue.
I was just about to say this. Mourinho played the football at no level. He played Portuguese third division or something like that.
Well, then he's played football at a level.
Yeah, but
everyone's high level. Huh?
Everyone's played football at a level.
Yeah, but he's played. That's what we're saying. And I didn't say that someone who hasn't played the game doesn't know anything about football.
That's what. No, but I'm making that point against people that are saying, "Oh, you know, you've got to play it at the highest level." That's nonsense.
No, you haven't got
because to play it. Mourinho didn't play football at a high level, and he's widely regarded as one of the better managers of all time.
Wenger and Eriksson was another one. Never really played at a high level.
No.
You know, it's just, I just feel, in my opinion, that if you've had some sort of coaching in football, some sort of level of football, you understand the game a bit differently.
Yeah. All right. Well,
there's a different perspective, of course, when you've actually done it.
But as I said, you get people who have played the game, and you know.
But that's why I think the two are important. I think there's the balance there. I think having the ex-pro perspective is important, right? It's interesting. It's an insight. But the fan perspective is also important and is another insight. And the two can coexist. But to say that they're valid and we're not valid because we're fans and we ain't played it at that level, I think is wrong. You know, we have a different perspective, but I think it's an important perspective because we pay our money week in, week out. We go and watch the team play at the highest level and play, you know, the lower teams. We watch it, so we read the news, we'll follow the academy, you know, all of that stuff. We live and breathe this club every day. We're connected to whatever, tuned into whatever West Ham, what's going on at the club, what's going on at West Ham. They're not. But yeah, of course, when they watch us play, they can maybe have a different perspective on how we set up defensively or what we've done and tactics and stuff. It's completely different. So yeah, I think the two can coexist.
Absolutely. Let's wrap up this one. Let me just say this before we go off. As I said, this is not a dig at Ben Johnson. This is not a dig at Jack Mate for asking the questions. I think it's a very interesting discussion to have, and I think it's very valid. Do I think people go too far? Yeah, I do. But I also believe in giving everyone an opinion and giving airtime to everyone that wants an opinion. It's not monopolized to our opinion. That's why we're reading out your comments now. That's why we talk to people outside the ground. Everybody needs to have their I believe has the right to have an opinion on our. Don't get me wrong. If there was people there just absolutely talking, nonsense for the sake of talking nonsense because of someone's race or ethnicity or anything like that, we wouldn't give them a platform. But when it comes to football, everyone's entitled to their opinion. They've all paid their money, and there is a big culture, especially with the mainstream media. They want to it might not even be the footballers that are pushing this agenda, but the mainstream media don't want us to have an opinion. They think we should just be pushed under the carpet and pay our money and shut up. And that's definitely not my opinion. My opinion is their opinion is as important as anyone else's opinion. So that's why we do it. And that's, but no dig at Ben Johnson, no dig at Jack Mate or whatever. I think it's an interesting discussion to have. And I think, maybe we'll look into it further in the future. There we go.
Yeah. See, what you just said there's some of the comments that we've started, people pick up. We need fan channels like us, Free Hammers. The amount of good lads do for us. It's not like Sky Sports or BT where we give a platform to have our opinion. We've got another one. There was 3 of them all basically just saying around what you were saying there. Fan channels don't have don't have the millions television companies have. It's people looking down on fans. It's the broadsheet and big media narrative scared of what they are.
And I've always said this, right, is they don't give a shit about West Ham. You watch match of the day, they spend 10 seconds on West Ham. You watch Sky, say we're playing fucking Leicester on Sunday. They're spending more time talking about what Liverpool and Man United are doing than talking about the game coming up against West Ham and Leicester. So, channels like ours are necessary so people can actually have some conversation and discussion and hear something about their team that's not in these same 6 clubs. So I think that gives us more weight in effect than these television companies.
How biased they are. As I said before, I've said this before, and when it comes to like Monday football, if there's a Brighton, there you go, there's Brighton Newcastle, which has come up on my list. So there's a Brighton Newcastle game. It's like they want to talk about Liverpool, Man United, Arsenal, Chelsea, Ronaldo, Messi, all of them people, and there just happens to be a game in the middle that interrupts them.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's basically what they're looking at, what it is. And they're only interested in, when Ronaldo left Manchester United the last couple of weeks or whenever it was, right? I clicked on Sky Sports News. Yeah. There's a World Cup going on. A World Cup going on as we speak. There was games being played, and all I saw on the Sky Sports website was Ronaldo, 5 articles about Ronaldo. Where does he go next? What went wrong? Why didn't it work out here? He leaves. Is he going to Saudi Arabia? 5 articles. There's 2 games been played in the morning of the World Cup. Not one mention of it in the World Cup. They only are interested in what will get them clicks.
But that's the thing. That's how they've always been, though. And this is the thing. Like you said, you could sit there and you could be any game on a Sunday when on the TV. If there is one of Liverpool, Man United, Chelsea, Man City, Tottenham, Arsenal playing, it will always be about them.
It always is.
Yeah.
There always is. It's not like they get less, airtime and they want to talk about them. They get all the airtime. Yeah. And on the odd occasion that they aren't the ones playing on Sky, they're still fucking talking about them.
Yeah, exactly, because they know it's the principle like what you got with Scudamore, who used to run the Premier League. When he turned around and said that time that teams like West Ham and Southampton shouldn't be in European competitions if they're not going to get past the certain stage because it affects the amount of teams we're allowed to have into Europe. Yeah. And that's bollocks, at the end of the day, because without and this goes back to the Super League type thing when they were trying to break away and do that. Without, so we say the Sky Six, without the other 14 teams in the Premier League, them 6 teams are nothing.
Exactly.
Without all the rest of the 94 clubs within the tier of football,
Not the league,
the pyramid of football, these teams are nothing. And the problem is that because the way the media drive these certain sides, they make it out that they are the be all and end all. And if them clubs went out of existence tomorrow, the Premier League would collapse.
Mm.
You know, it wouldn't. Because at the end of the day, them 6 clubs joined the Super League, went to the Super League. The Premier League will still be watchable. The Premier League will still be there because it's a competitive league.
Exactly. There's a reason why they didn't leave to go do the Super League when they said, okay, if you want to do Super League, you have to leave the Premier League. There's a reason why they fucking stuck with the Premier League and didn't go to the Super League.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know, what fan of their club would want to go and watch the same? So you're in that when you look at that model of the Super League, there are going to be certain sides in there that are never compete ever in that Super League. They'll be the whipping boys of the league. The fans soon get fed up with the Premier League and other leagues that you've got that you could be the whipping boys one season, but you could be mid-table. You could go and look at Norwich. They got relegated. They were awful, but they still beat Man City. You know, going back a couple of seasons, and that's the joys of watching the Premier League. You can rock up, and you could be on the worst run of form in your club's history, play a team that's on the best form in their history, and you go and get a win. That is why the Premier League sets apart from other football divisions.
No, I agree. I'll totally agree. There was a friendly this week. We did start the countdown to the Premier League. Although it's what is it, 17 days now, isn't it, till the Premier League comes back, which is mental because we just played World Cup quarterfinals. But it's 17 days till the Premier League comes back. We were in pre-season action. We've got Udinese, haven't we? We got in between, and we've got Fulham tomorrow.
Yeah, and then Udinese. When's Udinese? After Fulham?
After, I think it's a week after. After Fulham, all away, of course. So we will be playing them, but we did play our first pre-season friendly. We won 4-2. Got off to a bit of a bad start, but the boys pulled it round, and some impressive performances in there, I thought.
That Ben Rama goal, mate.
Special that was, yeah.
Ben Rama, he's just picked up exactly where he left off.
Yeah. And that's what you need. You know, you sort of think in that this World Cup is going to be an interruption in the players' form. You know, I think overall, when you look at the way we were going into the break of the World Cup, I think a few players and probably Moyes as well are glad of the break. You know, Moyes gave them
certainly glad of the break. That's for sure.
You know, Moyes gave them some time off to go on holiday, to go and recharge their batteries and recoup. And, you know, that's what you want. You want players to come back and have a response. You know, you want the likes of Ben Rama to come back and carry on where he left off. And you want players who have not had that form going in, coming back and
not carry on where they left off.
You know, showing look. You know, you would hope that some of the players whose performances have not been up to standard sort of took the time to look back at their performances and think, you know what, I've got to put this right, I've got to put that right. You know, taking it on the chin that maybe part of the reason that we're in the situation we're in is on the players' heads, is on certain individuals' performances and not putting the effort in. You know, it's quick and easy to blame the manager for everything that goes wrong. Look, Moyes, for me, he's right to get criticism with some of the decisions he makes and some of the times that he sets aside out, but players have got to look at it themselves. You know, like Graham says quite a lot of times, once the manager sends the players out there, if they don't do what he's asked them to do, you can't blame the manager.
Well, I think there's listen, it's 50-50. We're not really having that discussion at the moment because, you know, I've made at the end of the day, that last week of the Premier League and the Cup game, it nearly pushed me over the edge. You know, I was feeling as low as I felt for a long time. And I was, you know, if you look back at last season, I was a very positive person. You know, I was enjoying it. I was doing it. The thing that done it for me at the end of that week is that you've gone out and lost to Crystal Palace, not played well. Certain players had let you down, blah, 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 all of that nonsense. We spoke about all that. And then you go out again next week against Leicester and do exactly the same thing with the same players, with the same tactics. And I'm sorry, but,
See, the amazing thing was I weren't at a Leicester game.
No, but what I'm saying is what I'm trying to make an argument for is that you can blame the players.
Yeah.
But, people can see there's certain players out of form and he's still putting them out there.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. That's why
it's the literal definition of insanity.
Yeah,
is that you do the same thing over and over and over again and expect the same different result.
Yeah. Listen, I remember Roy Hodgson when he was managing England. Was doing exactly the same thing, and we called that, saying that doing it, and that's the thing.
Players had just lost a bit of faith in him. That's all I'm saying. But the break, I think, it gives everyone a chance to come back and start again.
Of course it does, and that's the thing. And the performance against Cambridge, some of the youngsters got to run out as well. Mixing with the first team players. Some good performances from some of them, from what I've heard.
We've come away with a little bit of an injury crisis at the moment because I still don't know whether Kurt Zuma's fit. I don't think he is at the moment. Mm-hmm. I think Cresswell went down injured, didn't he, in that game, in the Cambridge game?
Yeah.
Aguero went down injured in the Morocco game the other night, although they went through.
Aguero seems to be like he's only just going to miss one game for Morocco, though. So if Morocco go through to the semis, he'll be fit for the semis.
Yeah.
There was a video of him dancing and stuff backstage, so it looked worse at the time than it was in reality.
in the dressing room, you mean, Dan? Not backstage.
Backstage. Too much wrestling.
When it went off, it didn't. He didn't limp off the pitch. Do you know what I mean? It looked like one of those, but
so he's one I'm so excited to see. I'm sort of dreading the return, but I'm excited to see him in the Premier League in the first team, starting games fully fit, because I think he has a lot to offer.
Have you watched the Morocco games, Dan?
Yeah, he's been. I think
and that's, you can see why he's been picked up by us, like by Moyes and all that. And if he can bring what his performances he's putting from Morocco into us, he's going to benefit the back line if players are fit to play alongside him.
I was having this debate on Twitter, right? And I do think it would be a lift, but I think like certain fans were making a big thing of him saying, look, Moyes wants to play this attacking football when we'd be winning and all that. If we just had Aguero's the key piece, and Moyes has been without him. And I was sort of like thinking, really, like this whole style of play and our ability to actually win games is based on one player. That just is mental to me. And as much as I think he's a big asset, if Moyes' plan and his whole vision for how we want to play and how successful we're going to be is all rests on one player being fit, well, then he's an idiot. And I'm not saying that's true. I'm saying what they're saying is true, isn't it? I'm not saying I believe them. That's mad.
No, that's it. And that's the thing. You can't base your team, especially with the way we are at the minute. Look, if you've got a prime Ronaldo or a prime Messi, you base your team around them type of players. We've not got that. We've got Declan Rice, and we sort of have to suit. We've tried to play to suit Rice, even though now I think the team, to advance anymore, we need Rice to play how he plays for England as that holding midfield and allow the likes of Paqueta to go and do what they do. That's the only plus side for me, is that Brazil were at the World Cup, is that he should be back available for the game against Arsenal now.
He got an assist as well, he got an assist, and he's had a decent World Cup.
He's playing in the Souček role.
And this is it. I made the mistake when we first signed him, thinking that he was good in that number 10. But after watching him for Brazil and looking more into his playing career, he's suited to play that box-to-box midfielder, to make things happen. We've got to find a way. It's finding the right number 10 to play in front of him. You know, look, granted he's playing for Brazil and all that, but
Ben Rama is there. He's been there all season.
Yeah, that's it, and that's we need the way he plays in that midfield for Brazil. Look, I know Brazil got some quality players in front of him, but in the Premier League, we've got players that last season were pushing us towards, pushing us towards the top floor. Now we've added some quality. We need to press higher up the pitch. We need to bring these players in. So now I feel that it's time we tell Rice, no more bombing forward, sit and hold, sweep up, and put the players in the right position to push forward. And that's what I hope Moyes comes back after this break and he does that. He sees Paqueta for the player that he is.
Mm.
And look, we saw Paqueta's come into criticism from some of the fans, and I think again he's becoming a scapegoat. Same as Samaka for me. Samaka's being made a scapegoat, and the guys, we're not playing to his strengths. And I just feel now as a club, it's about time we play to player strengths and the attacking player strengths, not the defensive mindedness that we keep seeing.
Yes. Yeah.
I
agree with that. Let's go ask us anything. We're going to wrap it up pretty quickly tonight because I know it's been a long week, and there is the small case of Declan Rice playing in a World Cup quarter-final tomorrow. That's England, if you're not catching that. Do you want to quickly talk about that?
It's big game, isn't it, mate? Massive.
Yeah, I think this is going to be the first England game that I've sort of been a bit pumped for. Like, I don't know whether it's the Winter World Cup or whatever, or just the style, probably a bit of both, the style of play and all of that. I haven't been as into it, but a big game like this, France, if England win that, then you can start to believe, that's... So it's the possibility of England winning this game is exciting. There's every chance that England will lose, but it's a big game. So it's...
the thing is, and I say this with my heart, everybody wants England to lose. Unless you're English, you want England to lose. It's fact, right? And the thing that I hate about the way people are already talking about England as if they've lost, right? And this is the fact of the matter of this, right? If you ask any non-England fan, they will tell you, nah, France will batter them and all that. But this is the fact of the matter, right? I've watched every team in this World Cup. Every team. Mm-hmm. There is no team in there, in this tournament, that I think they're head and shoulders above everyone else.
Mm-hmm. Totally agree, mate.
And there is no one that I've looked at and think England can't beat them.
Yep.
Including France.
It's different because when I think about it, like 8-10 years ago, you would see the Brazils and the Frances and Argentina. There was fear. You had genuine fear drawing these.
And even 4 years ago, when we played in the World Cup, when we played in the semi-final, right? And this is the God's honest truth. I promise you now. I thought we beat Croatia, but we had no chance of beating France. That was my absolute.
These teams had a fear factor about them that they don't. Every team looks vulnerable. They look. Don't they? Like every team has shown vulnerability this year.
Well, you look at Brazil, how they dispatched South Korea. Everyone, they were playing. Look, they played some good football, right? But South Korea did themselves no favors. Some of their defending on point is what I see the schoolboys doing when I go and watch my boy play his football. Throwing themselves into tackles that they're never going to win, and they made it easy for Brazil. They for me,
Scott, like that. Some of them players don't play at a high level.
No, but that's it, and that's the thing. And everyone was raving, Brazil were going to be a real threat. They go and lose to Croatia tonight on penalties.
Yeah, it feels like anyone can beat anyone. This World Cup.
Brazil were the favourites. Brazil would have hands down favourites. Everyone was saying Brazil. They're out in the quarterfinals.
Yep. And the crazy thing about it is teams like Croatia get completely overlooked. What's this? This is Croatia's back-to-back semi-final.
I said this: do not sleep on Croatia, and don't sleep on Portugal.
No. This is the thing. This is anybody's World Cup, and for me, this has been the best World Cup for a long time. There's been some really good football played. There's been some shocks, and we all love an underdog. We all like these. When you see the likes of Japan beating Germany and Saudi Arabia beating Argentina, look, you can pull me on my opinion. Teams like this shouldn't be in the World Cup, but you look at it, they produce some of the best performances. They produce some of the stories. When we look on to the next World Cup and we come back and you're going to be looking at results from the last one, these are the things you're going to say. Morocco.
Well, there's 48 teams in the next one, Scott, so that'll be very interesting.
Say again, sorry?
There's 48 teams in the next one, so it'll be very interesting.
Yeah, but look, Morocco, another side. Who would have thought them getting into the quarterfinals? You know, it's mad, isn't it? This is what makes it so good for me. This is why it's such a good World Cup this year.
It would have been better if it was in the summer. It would have been much more of a buzz.
But I think it suits us. It suits us more.
I know people that are there, and it's a comfortable temperature.
Yeah, on the pitch.
No, I'm just saying for us, like just when it's in the summer, it's more. There's more of a buzz. Like there's people at the bars. You walk. You're coming home from work and you're seeing everyone already getting to the pub, the flags, all of that. I've not felt that. It's not been present around me. Like I don't go out and I'm not cognizant that a World Cup is going on. And that's the difference. Whereas usually in the summer, like you just see it everywhere. It's a vibe, and there's no vibe to it this year.
I'll get what you're saying.
Myself doing, especially over these last couple of days, is that because it's Christmas, the last couple of days when the football's gone off, like normally you got it every day, so it's reminding you every day. We've had no football for like 2-3 days, have we? While they've been preparing, I forgot all about it because I was doing my Christmas shopping. I'm fucking trying to, get things arranged for Christmas. I'm thinking about holidays and thinking, oh God, I've got 10 days off. When can I do this? I'm 40 in a couple of days. So I'm thinking about that as well. And I forgot all about it. Whereas in the summer, there is no distractions. Yeah. I'm only looking forward to the football.
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I hope this is the last fucking Winter World Cup and they've learned their lesson. We just go back to normal from now on.
I can't see it ever happening again, to be honest, mate. Really, wouldn't surprise me if it did, but I can't see it. I think it will go back to being played in the summer. They've done their thing. They've done this big hoo-ha of playing football in the Middle East, taking the World Cup to the Middle East. So I think that's been done now. I doubt you'll see another Middle Eastern country, at least for 20 odd years anyway.
To be rude, I mean this with the greatest respect. When is it finally going to come home?
Mate, the way FIFA are, never.
I'm not talking about winning the cup. I'm talking about
winning it.
Game coming back to the origin country. And that's us. 1966 was the last time we had a World Cup. We're prepared for it. There's no infrastructure to be made. If there was a World Cup tomorrow, we could host it. No problem. We've got the infrastructure, everything in place. USA have had it in 94. They've now got it in 2026.
Yeah.
France,
along with Mexico.
They're going to have it again.
Mexico have had 3, I believe, in 40 years or something.
70, I think 86.
86, yeah, I'm sure it was 86.
It's a shameful. Like the birthplace of the game, I've only had one World Cup in what?
It goes to show, Dan, the fact that we're trying to we bidding for the 2030, and we're having to do a joint bid with Scotland and Wales
and
to
Ireland.
try and get it. And Ireland as well. It's crazy that we have to do that. Like you said, we've got the infrastructure here. We don't. If they, like you said, if they turned around and said, "Oh, we need you to host the World Cup," you got 2 days' notice. Yeah, all right, no worries, we could do it.
I do think that is a good idea in a way, especially if there's going to be 48 fucking games. Giving, because Ireland, Wales, and Scotland would never get it on their own. Like they'd never be able to bid for it and have the infrastructure. So giving those places a chance to have a few World Cup games locally, I think is good. But yeah, you're right. Like it shouldn't take that. It shouldn't take us tacking them on to have a chance. Even though I do think it's a good thing.
No, exactly. It'd be nice to see. And even though we may win this one, there's every chance.
Listen, before you go, we've got some Christmas jumpers
I've got some comments to read out as well before we go.
Yeah, we're not going. I mean,
Go. Sorry.
I'm going to be wearing my Christmas jumper to the Roundhouse. We're having a Christmas party next Saturday, and they've got the Christmas jumper competition. So I'm going to be wearing my West Ham Fan TV Christmas jumper to see if I can.
I got you a new one, by the way.
What's that?
I got you a new Christmas jumper.
Oh, maybe this might give me a better chance of winning.
Yeah, there are Christmas jumpers on our store. Go and click the link in the description to grab one of those. There are postal strikes, so get them quick. Don't miss your chance to get a Christmas jumper from us this Christmas. I've got something else to say as well. We've got, if there's the company have sent us this game. See this game? It's the
Football Club ball game.
Yeah, it's from a company called Footy Billionaires. Now, this will be given away. This game will be given away to someone for Christmas. We'll wrap it up and all of that on our Patreon in the next podcast. So we haven't put out a podcast this week. It's because we're going to do a double feature next week because I've got we're giving away that anyway.
You can't beat a board game at Christmas. You just
can't. No.
Exactly, mate.
If you can't, not everyone can win it, obviously, but I'm going to post about where you can get one of those on our Instagram from the company. So if you want to grab one from us, it don't only obviously give you something nice for Christmas. It also helps the channel out a little bit because it's sort of a sponsored thing. So yeah,
ball games good. They bring the family together at Christmas.
I love them. Do you know what? Right. I might buy myself one of these from our affiliate link, and I might buy it and play it myself. But this one,
see what they've brought.
It's all wrapped in plastic, and I promise you, it will stay wrapped in plastic. We're not going to open it up, play it, and then give it to you. It will be sent out to someone for Christmas. So that'll be on our Patreon on the podcast next week. This week. So grab if you want to go and join the Patreon. Go and join that, and there's a chance to win that game. There we go. Let's take some. I did have go on, Scott. Take some.
Sorry, I'm just trying to block someone, but go on. So Dino H says it's all right. Dino H says, "Were you watching the game tomorrow?"
Well,
I'm hosting a stream on the.
Well, I was gonna see Jason Damo trying to drag me out to this thing, but I don't want to go out, so I might just sit here on my own and do a watch along with you lot. I'm might try and do that with everyone I'm watching, because I ain't going to the fucking Eva Hart and fucking doing all that shit.
No, mate. Do you know what? I've enjoyed watching the games indoors this time. It's freezing cold outside.
Yeah. It is, mate. Get a couple of beers in, and do a stream and watch it with my mates on West Ham Fan TV chat.
Fucking being cold outside, mate. How cold was it today?
I know.
Yeah. I'm telling you want to try see what it's like up Doncaster, mate. We think it's cold down here. Bloody hell. I don't know if people can live.
I've been standing outside all day.
Have you?
Yeah.
Mate, I was working on this. This is how mad this weather's been, right? So, 2 or 3 weeks ago, I was working on a roof with a t-shirt on, beautiful sunshine, lovely. Yesterday, I was working on a roof, ice all across the roof, hoodie on, jacket on. It was freezing cold. It's mental how this weather is at the minute. Absolutely mental.
Absolutely bitter.
The F1 podcast. How long has Lanzini got left at the Hammers, lads?
Probably till the end of the season, I reckon.
Is his contract up?
I've heard it is.
Maybe, yeah.
I've heard it is. I'm sure it's, or at least at the very most, there's one more year at the very most. But
yeah. Steve WHU Bell. Oh, Nicky's disappeared. $8.99 super chat. Cheers, mate. Thanks for that. I think the game will be won in the midfield area. He's talking about the England-France game. We have the quality in that department. As long as we keep Mbappe and Griezmann quiet, we have a chance.
Which is a tough ask.
Yeah. The thing is, I think Walker's played a few times against Mbappe, hasn't he? I'll be honest, if we didn't have Walker, I'd be a lot more worried.
You
know, I think he's a quality right back, and I think he can do it. But we're gonna, look, France has got to be wary about us. You look at they've got an 11, but their bench isn't as strong. Our bench has got some game changers on it. So People said people need to fear us a little bit. I guess Nicky's internet keeps dropping in and out.
Yeah.
So either that he's playing hide and seek. Glenn Marshall says, "Driving home for Christmas, best song."
It's up there. It's a contender. Yeah. It's a Wham. You can't beat Wham, obviously. Last Christmas. Yeah. It's the top one.
Driving home for Christmas is my favourite.
It's really good when you are actually. I mean, I don't drive, but when I'm on the way home for Christmas in the passenger side.
You don't do that,
mate. I sit. Yeah, you don't drive. Yeah. Do you know what? Every time I come home for Christmas, I stick that one on. Every time I'm driving home, if I'm working Christmas Eve or like this year, I think I'm working on.
A lot of people saying Pogues. Forgot about Pogues.
Yeah, Fairy Tale New York. There's some proper classics out there. Do you know what though? We ain't had a decent Christmas song for a while. Like
it just can't happen now, Pete. It's since what? When's the last decent Christmas song? Was probably the 90s. Was the time it came out, and I'm trying to remember. Mariah Carey's was the last one that's probably a hit, wasn't it, in the 90s?
Yeah.
But since then, people have tried. They can't do it. The 70s and 80s were the peak time for Christmas songs, and it tailed off in the 90s. It's just, we'll never. I don't think we'll ever get a good Christmas song.
That's what we need. We need a good Christmas song.
There's a reason why you hear the same songs every year. You hear them, all these big stars like Destiny's Child and all these try and make these Christmas songs, and no one gives a shit. They want to hear Slade and Wizard and fucking.
Do you know what? The amount of times
Stevens.
My missus, right? She's had the Christmas movies on. She's had the Christmas music on since November. And I walked in one day and there's Christmas songs playing on the Christmas channel. And I'm sitting there going, I've never heard these before, but they're awful. More modern day acts, but they're awful.
Yeah, because they're doing it. They're just trying to make a quick bit of money, isn't they? Or let's try and make a Christmas song to get some money. They're not getting the essence of what it's about.
Listen, you cannot, right? I've only heard the last part of this conversation, right? You cannot have a better money maker in your life than if you make a staple Christmas song. Ask Mariah Carey.
Oh, mate.
Yeah, but Nick, the problem is what we were saying is she was the last one to do it. No one's made one since. They've all
94. That was, I reckon.
Yeah,
she probably made more money off that song than anything else.
17. They were the last ones.
E17.
E17 were the last ones because that was like what 96, 97.
I reckon that was about 94 as well.
Reckon?
95, 94.
I'm gonna have to Google this now.
Yeah, it's do you know what? And I'm sure that wasn't originally a Christmas song.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah, you're right. It was. You're right, Scott.
It was just released at the right time, and then made it become a Christmas song.
Yes, and didn't they add some little bits into it afterwards?
Yeah, I'm sure they changed the video to make it look Christmassy when they had all the white hoodies up and everything.
Yeah, November 94 it was released, E17.
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought it was 94. I remember it being...
The Dutch have just equalised, by the way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, last minute as well, apparently.
Like 100th minute, I think it is.
Mariah Carey was October 94. All I Want for Christmas Is You.
Why would you bring that out in October?
That's getting in early. Get the record.
29th of October, she released that. She recorded it in August. So 94 was like the last year for any hit Christmas songs. Since then, 95 onwards, nothing.
That's bad, isn't it? Come on, someone's got to do it. Someone take up the mantle. Give us a proper Christmas song.
No, Leona Lewis released one, didn't she?
Yeah, that one. I can't even tell you how that goes. I don't know what the hell that one is, which shows it weren't a hit.
I know it was like
Nick, there's loads. Like you said, Destiny Child. I'm sure Taylor Swift's done a.
No, I'm pretty sure that one was a decent one.
There's many that have tried.
They're all forgettable. Michael Bubble.
Yeah, but he just takes the old ones and puts his spin on it, doesn't he?
Yeah, he's a twat.
Yeah. Anyway,
we should do it. Why don't we do it? Let's record a Christmas
song. Is the Pogues. That is the ultimate Christmas song.
That's it.
I don't know. I lean
Okay.
towards Wham. I do lean towards Wham.
Yeah.
We got
there
one
was a-
more. Drain Hole Hammers. Can any of you do the John Barnes rap?
Oh,
I'm putting it out there. I can't, so I'm not even going to attempt it.
I don't. Yeah, I don't. I have to see. I don't know if I'd remember the whole thing.
how's it
It's
start?
it goes. You got to hold it in and
Right,
do
yeah.
it at the right
Hold
time.
it in and do it.
Slow
at the
or
right
fast, but you
Can't go
must
slow or fast, but you must get to the line. You never hit them and hurt them.
defend and
Defend and
attack.
attack. There's only
There's
one way to beat them. Around the back. Can catch me if you can, because I'm an England man. And you're looking at is the master plan.
We ain't no hooligans. This ain't
This
a
ain't a
football
football
song.
song. 3 lions on my chest. You know you can't go and sing it for England.
England.
It's sort of
That
like
is a great. That's the best World Cup song.
Yeah,
England song.
yeah.
That is the best
But
hands down England song.
Do you know? For me, that's aged least.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
If you
because
know
it
what
is
I
a
mean.
good song on
Yeah.
its own.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
can listen
yeah,
to that outside of the World Cup.
yeah, yeah.
You know,
free-
I'm
I-
sorry, it's coming home is
I
dead
can't.
to me now.
I hate that song now. I cannot stand that
Yeah.
song anymore.
After the Euros and everything, just hearing it over and over again.
Do you know what?
Word-
The only thing with that song, it takes you back to '96. You know that Euros, watching them players. It always used to get me goosebumps, especially when they used to have the Jonathan Pierce commentary in it. You know, back when he was on Capital Gold, and he was a really decent commentator because he could let himself go and express himself, unlike he is now, where he can't really do it as much because he works at the BBC. You know,
But
It's-
you know, remember Atomic Kitten became a fucking England song in the last Euros. They got Atomic Kitten out because I don't know whose idea it was to change Atomic Kitten to be an England song and to sing Southgate, You Turn Me On.
yeah.
Grown men singing.
It was a tennis chant, and they just jumped on it.
Does
Yeah.
he turn you on, Southgate? Does he turn you on?
A little bit.
Oh, terrible.
That's it. But yeah, it's
People are getting the likes in for my rapping. Thanks, man. Do you know what? I ain't a bad rapper, you know. I know a few like quick raps. You know, like when you think to yourself, "Oh, I'll never be able to learn that," and I'm pretty good at learning them sort of things. To be fair,
Yeah, when you have me there to remind you the lyrics.
no, I know one by 50 Cent.
Oh yeah, we
Yeah.
in the club, dub. With
No. It's one with another geezer, and it's called what's it called? Fucking hell.
I don't even remember the fucking name of the song.
Honestly, what's it called? That Down on Me, right? And I remember I learned this song because there was a kid that done like a miming.
Oh,
He done miming to it, and 50 Cent comes in and does his rap part, and you'll never expect it. It's like geezer in his bedroom, and he's like miming songs. He's a little kid and he's miming songs, and all of a sudden, when the 50 Cent part comes in, like 50 Cent comes in his bedroom and starts rapping, and I thought it was brilliant.
there you go. How says Nick? You do PJ and Duncan. You know what? I was a big PJ and Duncan fan as a kid. I loved that song. I had that on CD.
Get ready to rumble.
That was like, looking back at it now, it is terrible. The rapping is terrible. And
It was awful.
Terrible.
It was awful.
Yeah,
it was a bad one there. Really, really bad one.
Right,
it's
people
funny,
get bored. Let's wrap it up.
you look like if Ant and Dec merged into one person. Like if they
forehead of Ant
yeah, I just
and the
noticed
cheek.
that now.
So I am Ant and Dec merged as a person.
Ant and Dec in one. Yeah. Not as much forehead though as Ant.
That's it. Not as much. Got a big one, but not as much. It's fine.
Right. Well, let's end it there. People get bored. Thank you so much for joining us
Yeah.
on this edition of West Ham Fan TV's Friday Night Pint. As I said before, we have got one of these games given away on our Patreon, and you can buy them. There's going to be a link on our Instagram very, very soon. So follow us on Instagram. We'll probably put it on Facebook, and maybe we'll play one for YouTube. Maybe we'll have a go.
Yeah.
Maybe like a good ball game up for it.
Yeah, we should all get together and play the ball game for Christmas, like
I'm
Christmas
up for
Day
that.
one. So yeah, there is all of that, and obviously we're coming up towards content for West Ham now. We're bringing the content back 2 weeks before the kickoff, so we're going to be back on the 12th with regular West Ham content. Enjoy the rest of the World Cup. Enjoy your Friday night, and hopefully, by the time we speak to you next time, England will be in a World Cup final. Will they? Could
Yeah,
be.
mate. Semi-finals on Thursday if we make it. So
hopefully by next Friday, England will be in a World Cup final. But let's not all hold our breath. They've let us down many times before. I'm going to go and watch the rest of this Argentina versus Holland game. Don't forget to subscribe. And one thing left to say.
Come
on, you irons.